Alright everyone, we start off today with an idiot NEOCON alert. It's Rickscott. A link in the description to his tweet. I'll read it out for people who don't use Twitter and shit, which is most of you. Second link archived because, of course, you know, when you get ratioed heavily on a post, sometimes you see politicians will often delete such things. In fact, this morning I thought it had been deleted. I don't know what I did wrong. I must have put in an extra character when I copied it or something. I did something funny, but third link will actually be to my Rumble channel, where a couple of days ago Clankdom exceeded 82,000 subscribers, regularly getting between 500 and 1,000 people watching the weekly live streams on Rumble as well. So, very functional site. Large audience retention, it's going well. I'm glad to be using this site. And the pinned comment down below if you're watching on YouTube will just be my Rumble link, because that's pertinent to this video. Rickscott is like the dude who gets sick, goes to the hospital, but he's such an asshole that the doctors, they would never say it publicly, but behind his back, God, I hope this dude dies. I hope falls into a coma. Or the kid that gets hurt on the playground and the teachers secretly laugh and joke about it in the teacher's lounge. By the way, that was probably me when I was in elementary school, just saying. But Rickscott, I kind of grew out of it at some point and learned how to not be quite as much of an asshole towards people. Coincidentally, around the time I realized it was much funnier to be an asshole on the internet. Rickscott never went through that developmental stage. I don't know, I don't even think that he made it to the anally retentive development stage mentally. I'll read this out, and it's an attack on Rumble. And that's what it is. It's not really about Russian propaganda and disinfo, because clearly RT having a Rumble page is not going to change anyone's mind. The fact is that it's going to be there for people to consume anyway. What the fuck difference does it make which particular site it happens to be on? I guess Rickscott is mainly concerned because he's a Floridian senator, and this is a report about how, this Florida company, Rumble moved to Florida recently, is spreading Russian disinfo. How dare they be a platform? How dare they operate the way the internet operated for the first 25 years of its existence? By the way, Rickscott, a total hypocrite. When are you going to complain about Xinhua News being on Twitter? Chinese state propaganda, how's that any better? I would say that it's worse since they're the financiers of BRICS. But Rickscott, of course, he's probably got, donors with Chinese investments. But I'll read this out first verbatim. So let me grab the link. I did have it open, then I closed it for some reason. I'm a little bit distracted because there's actually a miniature lion here who sometimes looks at the screen, sees the cursor moving, and now thinks it's a bug. And I'm really worried at some point she's going to push the screen over because she is kind of a hefty kitty. But here's Senator Rickscott the other day with his wisdom. And then we'll get into a little bit of the backstory about how I truly feel about Rickscott, in case you can't guess already. No company should be broadcasting Russian state-backed propaganda. Putin and his thugs are violating the sovereignty of a free nation and committing a blatant act of war against Ukraine. Rumble Video should immediately sever all ties with Russia now. Now, let me try to explain to Rickscott, who apparently is boomer tech. Rumble is not tied to Russia. Russians are capable of making Rumble channels. That's sort of the fucking point. It's a video hosting site. By the way, RT up until very recently was on YouTube. I didn't see anyone complain about it until CNN, a competitor of RT, suddenly had a problem with it. Here's my thoughts. Again, I'll reiterate for people who watch one video or one 5-minute clip of me talking and think they know about all of my views. I've had people construe me as pro-Russia in this endeavor. I support Ukrainian sovereignty. That I don't disagree on. The difference is that I don't agree that we have to become more like the Eastern Bloc authoritarian fucking countries and censor everything to hell and bring back McCarthyism and really to a degree that some of what I'm seeing is just straight out Russophobia, to tell the truth. It no longer has any connection to Ukraine. By the way, can the average American tell the difference between an ethnic Ukrainian and a Russian national? I doubt that they could. They'd think it was the same language, and then they'd be, attacking their shops. There have been regular individuals. They're not even Russian. They're of Russian extraction. They're like second gen. They have their windows shot out and shit like that. There was apparently like a cheese museum or something. I don't know whether this is true. Please fact check this for me. That I did see an image. Those can be out of context or photoshooped. I don't think it is, though. That there was some cheese museum and they removed the Russian cheese display until they withdraw from Ukraine. I'm thinking, this is Freedom Fries 2.0. This is like when people were dumping French wine down the gutter in the U.S. Because France didn't want to invade Iraq and stuff like that, only now it's on the other side of the invasion spectrum. It's the same knee-jerk bullshit. It's not going to stop Russia. And this is a virtue signal by Rickscott. Let me tell you what this is. This is his way of attacking new tech. We've seen this before. COVID disinfo and things like that. Patriotism a la 9/11, the war in Iraq, etc., etc. Every single time you have a moral panic like this, and that is what this is becoming, what you end up with is you have a core problem that's quite real. Russia invading Ukraine is a problem. That involves Russian state policy and military actions, a sliver of the population of Russia itself, and virtually nobody outside of Russia. The idea that RT is promulgating this war and therefore must be silenced is an Eastern Bloc tactic. The whole point of defending the West, defending democracy, is not the First Amendment part of that. When you have a public official calling for the coercion of a private company from his own state, a constituent member of his state, evaluated at like $500 million, by the way, and trying to coerce them, this particular attack on a private business, I thought that it's a private business, they can do what they want, Rick. I seem to recall a bunch of NEOCON useful idiots like yourself. I don't know how useful you are, but the idiot part is definitely apt. Trump chose well. He got 50% return on his investment, I guess. I seem to recall that over the last couple of years, you've ranted about, oh, cancel culture, and it's gone too far, censorship is un-American. But it's okay this time. See, it's not so much that you're complaining about RT. It's that if Rumble were to ban RT, it would get coerced into banning other people. We've seen this already. We've seen this with YouTube. We've seen this with numerous sites. It never stops at, hey, this is a pragmatic issue of national security. We're fighting for the free world. This time it's different. It's not an American entity. It's Russian, so it's okay. It's a state-funded entity, so it's okay. But it never ends there. By the way, Rick, are you going to talk about how Alex Jones was banned some more? He's big on Rumble. InfoWars is there. I'm sure, if they were to ban RT or whatever, probably next they'd come for InfoWars and stuff. They've been spending years rambling about new tech sites and how they're platforming evil. How is it any different to say they're platforming an imaginary army of Nazis versus they're platforming propaganda by simply being a platform? They're not choosing to promote RT articles, and it doesn't matter because RT is still there. It's still connectable to by the entire outside world. Even in places where it's outright blocked, you can use a VPN. The idea that things disappear because you push them off one site or another is not how the internet works. Now, in case, again, you don't understand my thoughts on Rickscott, take a picture of Rickscott pursing his lips, turn it 90 degrees, and fucking tell me what you see. His mouth looks like a cunt, really flapping around, and that's basically what he is. Rickscott's a moron, and he always has been. Back when he was in the gubernatorial sense in Florida, anyone with a sane mind knew that he's one of the empty suit sleazy politicians that can only come from the Florida panhandle. By the way, DeSantis, why do you think he stands out as so great? It's because you've got a Floridian politician who seems to be at least somewhat above the corruption and slime. That's abnormal for Florida. Democrat or Republican or third party or independent. It's Florida. Need I fucking say more? Look up Florida Man sometime if you don't believe me. He's an idiot. He's being disingenuous. The concept that sites need to proactively be publishers and not be platforms, and that this time it's different, has been used as an excuse for every prior time. Oh, it's think of the children. Oh, you don't agree with me? You're pro-Putin. That ain't the way that reality works. That's sloganeering propagandistic horseshit and sounds like McCarthyism. In fact, it's quite literally the same. Hey, you don't want to contribute to my witch hunt of random celebrities that I decided to go after instead of really raking the ranks of Congress over the coals? That was where the real communists were, that in banking, and McCarthy was more in the entertainment industry at times. Well, then you must be a Marxist too, or at least a sympathizer. Oh, we'll have you blackballed. You'll never work again. Burl Ives, by the way, was part of that. He chose to flip to save his career, and give his written statements and shit. Oh yeah, I know a couple communists. Basically like the Salem witch trials. At least in the Salem witch trials, at least a couple of the people they killed probably practiced folk magic. I imagine that some of the people blackballed by McCarthy, they were communists. In retrospect, we realize that. The problem is it wasn't really stopping communism. We can see the proof is in the pudding. It didn't help. It ruined a bunch of careers of people who are like lukewarm liberals, pure Americana, and had no Marxist ties at all. The cure was worse than the disease, arguably. And looking back, it's used as propaganda even today now to promote communism. This will be used inevitably when this winds down. And when all the Westerners take the Ukrainian flags off of their Twitter profiles for one reason or another, and sanctions are removed, inevitably, when this happens, or when, a nuclear war happens, if we go in the other direction, I suppose, then all of a sudden these same people will clam up about the issue. RT can be silently restored and go on to make money for its investors, and nobody will give a shit. All of a sudden, it's no longer think of the children, it's pragmatic, we're saving democracy, because their attention span is 15 minutes long. I hate it when people who know literally nothing about geopolitics can't find Ukraine on a map, probably can't even find fucking Russia on the map. Hell, can they find their state capital? Do they know its name? 50-50 chance at best. The public educational system has failed us. These people will pretend that it's a complete dichotomy. You don't have a Ukrainian flag on your Twitter feed? Oh, you might as well put a Russian one up there because that's what you are. You're changing the world with a change.org petition. I mean, come on, give me a fucking break. And Rickscott thinks, I guess, that the trajectory of a war, this involves soldiers and missiles and shit, that's somehow going to be changed by a Rumble channel? By Russia having a Rumble channel? I don't care if RT broadcasts. They never should have been banned from any of the other networks. Just make sure that the comment section stays open. And Ma and Pa America will dogpile that material and ratio it into oblivion, and problem solved. Kind of defangs the propaganda now, doesn't it? Oh, that's right. All of the Western propaganda outlets are still there. There are no dislikes, and they usually don't allow comments. Seems a little bit one-sided to me now, doesn't it? You don't have to support Russia to oppose censorship. If anything, if you support this kind of censorship pitch, you might as well fucking move to Moscow, because they already do that. You'll find it much more friendly and comfy over there. That's about all. Peace out.